What is happening? Rab here again, or Rescue. So we done a tutorial on drums last week, and this week we're going to do bass. So there's like 3 types of bass that I like to make. I like to make rippy bass, I like to make plucky bass, and I like to make pumpy bass. And what we'll do is we'll use Serum, since I feel like that's what most people will have access to. Like, most people won't have like virus emulations and stuff, probably not. So we'll use Serum. It doesn't matter what you use, it just matters how you get it to sound. So first of all, we're going to do a bass progression that's never been used in any song before. I'm sure you won't recognise it. Never heard that before in my life. Right, so let's open up Serum. And first of all, we'll make a rippy bass. So for a rippy bass, I like to use Basic Mini. Where the hell is it? I mean, you can get creative with the waveforms, but I like Basic Mini. Nice. We're going to put our randoms down to the start. This is very important because with bass, what we want is consistency. We don't want these waveforms starting in a random position every time we play a note. We definitely don't want that. We want consistency. We're going to turn the first one down for the moment and then figure out what octave we want this first oscillator on. Right. -3 is too low, so we'll go for -2. We'll match that with oscillator B. We'll reset the volume. We'll detune it a bit. Maybe go 9 and try 12. And then what is going to give us our tone, I'm going to slow the bass. What's going to give us the tone is when we play with the phase. So I'm going to leave the phase where it is on that. In fact, I'll put the phase right to the start, and then we'll play with the phase until we get the tone that we want. That's quite nice. And then what we can do is play with the detune, the fine tune, sorry. I like that, that is fat as fuck. Then, what I'm going to do is the same thing that I do on basically every channel, is I'm going to open an oscilloscope. Put it to transient mode. See how this is flat here? We don't want that shit, we want dynamics. So, I'm going to play with the envelope 1. Turn it up a bit so we can see it better and hear it. I'm quite happy there. Aye, that's quite fat. Right, let's hear it with the drums. I mean, it sounds decent, but it could be doing with getting brightened up a bit. So we'll put Saturn on. I like to do this. I do this with most of my bass. We'll put Saturn on. Leave it at default. Make a band. And what we'll do is we'll put the high band up. We'll try maybe 6 dB. And then play with this. The further to the left is going to be like the lower frequencies. But basically what I'm listening to in the bass when I'm doing this is the further to the left is the fatter it will be, but it will be more dull. So I like to try and strike a balance between fatness and brightness. That's nice, I like that there, but it's a bit over the top. So we'll put the mix down. Let's try 50%. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Let's check our volumes. And then I like to use a wee soft clipper on my bass. Again, open up your oscilloscope and let's see what we're actually doing. Put this to the mixer so I can see this as well. Right, I like that. It's fat. Fucking fat as fuck. But it's a bit flat. So I want a wee bit more shape. I'm quite happy there. Whatever I did. No, everything's fine. Don't know. No, it's no. What the hell? Oh my days. That's what's wrong. Look. What the f... That should be there and that should be there. Right, okay. And something sounded wrong. Maybe a wee bit brighter. Play with the mix. Try it at 170. I mean, that's decent, isn't it? That's not too bad. I would be happy with that. I'd be happy to progress with the track. Right. So let's go with the plucky bass. I'll delete all these plugins. I will initialize Serum. I'll pick a waveform. Let's just go with basic mini again and drop it down 2 octaves. And what we'll do is let's bring the phase down to the start and the random down. Important on bass, always very important. And so with a plucky bass, I use the filter. And we can go to envelope 2 here. Drag it onto the cutoff to modulate the filter. Let's go back to 150 for the moment. Let's solo the bass. Right, and so we just want to make it pluck. So we'll bring the sustain down and we'll bring the decay down. Let's turn it up. Decent. Again, put a scope on. Let's see what it looks like. Transient mode. Doesn't look too bad. With this plucky type of bass, I tend to just leave the sustain down and play with the decay. Don't look bad to me at all. Doesn't look bad. And then again, put a Saturn on. Do the same thing, leave it at default, make a band. Put this up by about 6, and then... Actually... maybe about 9. Again, the further left that this line is, the fatter it's going to sound. And the further right, the brighter it's going to sound. Strike a balance. That'll do. I mean, that's alright, but I want it to pluck more, so... Decent. And then, once again, we'll use the trusty old T-Rex clipper. Push it a wee bit. Don't be pushing this until it's squared off. Make sure it keeps its shape, because we need dynamics. that is pretty much it. A lot of the time what I'll do is, with a plucky bass, I'll do that with most basses to be fair. I'll have my MIDI notes just a wee bit shorter. Maybe a bit brighter. Oh, I didn't bring the mix down on this. Adjustable decays. I mean, you can make it really plucky. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. I'll tend to have plucky basses a bit louder, maybe it's the same as my kick, or about maybe a dB quieter. Right. Let's move on to the pumpy bass. For a pumpy bass, what I do is... Pumpy bass is basically just a sidechained bass. So I'll make the MIDI notes start on the kick drum and last for the full length. Let's initialize. And I'm just going to go back and use this waveform again. And the first thing that you need to do with this sort of bass, with a pumpy sidechain bass, is put sidechain on. So I'm going to put shaper box on, and I'm going to set it to react to the kick drum. And then in here, I'll click audio, so it's reacting to audio, and then I'll activate this so that it's reacting to the audio from the kick drum. I mean, let's put serum down 2 octaves because that sounds terrible. Let's change this to a quarter note. Turn serum up. And for the low end, what I'll do, let's turn this on so it can snap to the grid. For the low end, I'll typically make this sort of shape. And then if we grab this wee line here, we can turn this into multiband. So basically what we've done here is we've muted the low end when the kick's playing, and then when the kick stops playing, we've got the low end of the bass coming in, which basically just lets the low end breathe, because you don't want the low end of your bass to be sitting on top of the kick. That'll be a mess. And then this is where we make it pump. I'll basically make this sort of shape. And then we'll go in, we'll turn the random down, we'll bring the phase down. I mean, we can add another oscillator, but one's fine. One is fine with the effect that I'm going to add, but just for talking's sake, we'll add another oscillator. Bring it down 2 octaves. I don't typically detune these. We'll go with that. That sounds pretty decent. And I'll use Vengeance Expander to get a bit of width, make it a bit wider. And the reason that I use this on bass is because this dial here, the frequency that I set this to, below that frequency will stay mono. It won't affect it. It'll only affect everything above that frequency. So let's just leave it to default for the moment, see how it sounds. And then if we play with the time dial, it'll kind of change how it sounds. Obviously, we would need to cut these out here. Same again. A wee clipper on, and we'll look at it. With this type of bass, I don't tend to fuck about. I don't tend to mess about with this because it's no suited for it. Basically, you don't want it fading. You want this kind of bass. Well, I want this kind of bass to be solid. So we'll put on this just to see what we're doing, because I'm about to clip it, and while I want to make it bigger, I don't want to totally square it off. We're still looking for some crest factor in there. The crest factor basically is, you've got the quiet part and then you've got the loud part. The crest factor is the space in between. You don't want to be eliminating that. You don't want to square it off totally. You just want to push it a bit and make it big. I like to look at my gain on my mixer while I'm doing this as well. I don't like that second oscillator. Play with this. Sometimes I like to bring this up. Actually, I do want this second oscillator, but we play with the phase and we get a different tone. I mean, we can use different waveforms. While we're doing that, we play with this time. I mean, or you can just leave it down the middle. Always just like, I don't know why, but I never really used squares on bass. It's always saw. Saw. Turn it down a bit. These tend to be quieter in my mixes. I don't really like that thing. I think I've clipped it too hard, that might be the problem. That is the problem. This is the type of basses that I made when I done my first album years ago. Every track had this sort of bass. And this is going to sound mad, but I don't really tend to do much EQ on my bass. I really don't. I don't do the classic this. I never do that shit. I know that there's frequencies there, but I do that on my, because it fucks with the phase. I do that when I'm on my master and I put it on linear phase. so that it doesn't fuck your face up, basically. But aye, anyway, that's how I do bass. I'm out.